Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Open Book. I am Billy Price, co-founder of BILLY Footwear. And today we have a very special guest, a loving wife, a loving mom, author of the blog, I need to look at this, My Mom is Mad and Moody.com, as well as YouTube channel, The Daily Neds. Miss Alicia Ned. Thank you so much.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
This is going to be a great conversation. So, Alicia, so we came in contact first when you did an Instagram post. It was through Instagram. You did an Instagram post, and it really caught my eye because it was a picture of your wonderful daughter, Lourdess, and she was wearing our shoes. And I think this will be a great place to start off our conversation with, I guess, the success that she's had with the shoes, and I guess why she was looking for a pair of shoes like ours.
Yeah, so Lourdess is a 6-year-old little girl with cerebral palsy. She has hypotonic cerebral palsy, so she wears orthotics. And many times we go in and get measured for new orthotics every so many months, and we're always recommended a certain brand of shoe. And it has worked out for quite some time, but then it came a place where we really wanted to try something different that would be even more functional and will help her get up on her feet. So we did some research and we found Billy's. And so we got a pair for her birthday, her very first pair. And we thought they fit her orthotics perfectly. She was standing up in them and trying to move around. And we just felt like, wow, she's really responding well to these shoes. And so I thought, I want to share this with Billy. I don't know if he'll ever see it, but I'm going to take a picture of her and post it to her Instagram and tag him or tag them and see if they will notice it. And you did. And I was so excited when you did because that's a long shot when you're dealing with companies that have so many people that probably send them pictures all the time. So I thought, I don't know if he'll see it, but you saw it and reached out and here we are. So I'm excited about that. We love it.
Well, it was so good. I mean, we've had so many just wonderful customers, tagging us in their posts and kind of showing their success stories. And it just warms my heart through and through. I mean, just the business and just keeps fueling the fire to be able to move forward. Right. But also it's cool because it empowers a lot of other families out there to kind of share the experiences that they're having so others can kind of relate and kind of generate this sense of community.
Right. Yeah, and your story is such an inspiration. And one thing we say about Lourdess all the time is and I even write it on my blog, I never understood the reason why I was chosen to be a mom to a child like her. But now that, as she grows, I started to realize the impact that she has. And just looking at your story and how inspirational you are and how inspirational your company is and the story behind it and how despite your disability, you still, want to help others and inspire others and, create. And so that's what we want for her. We want her to be able to leave a mark with people, no matter what it may be, but that she always leaves an impression. And so I think that's what really drew us in after we read your story and watched some of your YouTube videos and, just got to know the brand. We thought this is the kind of thing we want Lourdess to get into. We don't want her disability to ever define her. We want her to be able to, impact people in the best way possible. So, yeah.
Wow, that's really, really good. And thank you so much for that. That's awesome. Right before the call, you were mentioning about, so Lourdess. Okay, so before we go there, let me talk about something different here for just a second. Okay. So one of the things I thought was so cool, and we were talking about like the customer and stuff like that and trying to be able to, when people are sharing, one of the big questions that we've been receiving through the years is when are we going to have wider kids and toddler shoes? Right, and when you reached out, it was so beautiful timing because we were just on the cusp of launching our wider shoes. So for the audience out there, we sent Lourdess to put on some new pink WDR high tops. And so when you go to BILLYFootwear.com and you look at the product page under toddler pink WDR high tops, you're going to see Lourdess on the screen right there highlighting the shoes. And oh my gosh, just cute as a button.
Yes, those little legs. I'm like, look at those little legs. But anyway, yes. So it was perfect timing because I also had saw that too, that you were launching that a new style, but I didn't know that it was this early on. I thought it would be later in the month. So when you reached out and said, "Hey, I have this pair I want her to try and take pictures in," I thought, man, this couldn't have came at a better time. Like everything just lined up perfectly. So yeah, it's amazing. Excited.
But it sounds like Lourdess is not just the poster child on our side. It sounds like she's the inspiration for other. Well, you were talking about it earlier. Can you share with everyone?
Yeah, so she attends a facility called Special Kids, and they are a therapy and nursing center, and they deal with kids with all types of disabilities, and they get kids on the path to being able to be functional, young people and young adults. And so this year, Lourdes was chosen to be the featured child for 2020-2021. And so she's been able to participate in different activities for the school, kind of as a face to bring awareness to other people who may have special needs, people in their lives that need this type of help, this type of school. And so she's a featured child, and she's been able to go to golf tournaments and take a few little marketing pictures and posts and things like that to really spread the word, because Special Kids is a nonprofit organization, and they're ran on sponsorships. So it's really big to put them. It's huge for them to be, able to reach people to donate back to the place to be able to keep it running. So yeah.
Oh wow, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I mean, in preparation for this call, reading back, looking at your YouTube channel and looking at your blog, kind of in line with what we were just talking about, that you're such an advocate for the family. And, can you talk about ways, I mean, within the blog and also on your YouTube channel, and how you use those tools to leverage that advocacy?
Well, I can say this for sure. The inspiration was definitely brought on by the fact that I needed an outlet to be able to express myself when I was happy, sad, mad, whatever I was dealing with, just considering how our lives changed so fast having a child like Lourdes. And so as people started to come back to me and say, "Hey, you guys really are inspiration," or "I had trouble with this and I watched this or read your blog and it made me feel, whatever feelings, or it made me feel like I can do it if Lourdes can do it." And so it pushed me to really say, as much as you can, try to promote and put this out there. If nothing else, they can get inspiration from seeing a special needs child thriving and surviving. And that's been the main thing. It's just the response I've gotten from other people and how it has impacted their life. So it just pushes us to say, "Hey, make this post or tag this person," or because you never know who's watching. You may think nobody's watching, but it just takes one set of eyes to make that difference, and share your content and be inspired. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Boy, that's so good. I mean, it's, I'm trying to think where to go here because there's so many things I want to say. First off, I remember reading a part where it said, "Happy kids make happy adults," like your motto.
Mhm.
And that just really touched my heart because, growing up as a kid anyways, I mean, it can be really challenging. There's so many things that, happening in the world, and just growing into this new environment, and things are changing so much nowadays as it is. And then to be able to enter into that space also with, me personally, like being in a wheelchair or something like that. I mean, it's just another element to grapple with, but we still have the choice to be happy, right? To be able to move forward. So can you touch on that motto, "Happy kids make happy adults"?
I can. So I feel like, just out of experience, being a kid at one point and being growing up around other kids that now have carried things from when they were kids to adulthood, and they're still struggling with, because they didn't have the support they needed, the love they needed, what the sympathy, whatever they're lacking, they brought it over to adulthood, and now they're struggling. And so, looking at my kids, I think I'm not perfect, but I realized from some of those experiences how the things that I put out and the things that I do can really impact them down the road. And again, I'm not perfect, but I just want to try to surround them with as much positivity as I can, and memories that they can look back on and say, "I can remember my mom making a way for this or making me happy about this." And so that when they are adults, they'll appreciate those times, and they won't have to deal with things that from the childhood. because maybe one day they'll be parents, and you don't want to keep passing on those things for generations and generations. So that's why it's important to me. I've seen so many people struggling with that even to this day. And there was things that I struggled with, but everybody doesn't have the ability to leave things. Some people are going to carry them regardless. And some of us are strong enough to leave them in our past. But for those who don't have that ability, it just resonated with me and made me feel like, oh, you really have to be careful what you do around your kids, and really, put out there what you're doing, because they will be grown people one day, and you don't want them to be angry and not knowing how to function in society. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically how that came about.
Oh, wow. There was a comment when we were preparing for this call that I made that, you can't necessarily go back and change how your story starts, but you can influence how your story ends. And, growing up, we're seeking so much, looking for a role model, really, to be able to kind of duplicate their mannerism. So being able to pass that on, being conscious as a parent, what we're the quality of life or the quality of content that we're passing on. I think about, so I have a kiddo, he's coming up on 2 years. And at this point right now, he's just kind of a sponge. I mean, he listens, and I'll say one thing and he'll just end up duplicating it. I mean, an example here, it's kind of off tangent, but I'm already rolling, so I got to tell you the story. So I needed to open something for him, and I don't have very good hand dexterity. So when I was to open it, I used my teeth. So I grabbed onto my teeth and started doing it. And then immediately he took that thing and then he started doing the same thing with his teeth. And I just had this flashback going, oh my gosh, don't do that. Like, don't follow that example. But I just want to highlight that we as parents, I mean, our kids are going to try to duplicate us as much as possible. So everything that we can do to pass on like that, the understanding you can fail but not be a failure. Right. And just to be able to kind of grow and just learn and keep moving forward.
That's right. That's absolutely right. A sponge example is perfect, because I used to tell friends that all the time. Kids are exactly like little sponges. They soak up everything you put out there. And so you have to be careful. And I've made mistakes and done things and said things that my oldest daughter, because I have an oldest child, she's in college now, but she will repeat me, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I shouldn't have said. Oh yeah, you have to be careful, because even emotions, or how you handle emotional response, they pay attention to all of that, and you want them to be able to, filter through, because we won't be here forever to guide them. They have to, figure it out on their own. But at least if you plant the seed, they'll have it. So yeah.
Well said. Well said. Well, Alicia, this has been a fantastic conversation. I mean, before I sign us off, I just want to give you the mic one more time, just to kind of share whatever's on your heart. There's so many things we could talk about, but the mic is yours. Go ahead.
I just want to say I appreciate what Billy is doing for everybody, and I hope that everybody takes out time to go to the website and look at the shoes and purchase you some shoes, and purchase someone. It's Christmas time, almost holiday season, so get some shoes. I appreciate that. What you have available to kids like Lourdess. And I also appreciate just your story, so that we can share that with her and she can be inspired. And I love meeting people who are like-minded and want to make a difference like me. So it's been a pleasure to be here. And I also just want to say that everybody who crosses paths with people with disabilities, just take a moment to think and ask questions in the most sympathetic, loving way you can. Try not to stare. Just let them know you're curious, and go home and learn more about them, and try to normalize them being as typical as they can, because they want to feel like you. So I would just say that would be the best advice I can give today. So, yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Very well said. So for those that are out there listening and watching, one more thing. So how can they find you? How can they find your blog, and how can they find your YouTube channel?
So we have a family YouTube channel. It's called The Daily Neds. That's TheDailyneds. So you could just search it in Google or youtube.com/The Daily Neds. I have a blog as well. It's called My Mom is Mad and Moody. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me there. And Lourdess also has a Instagram. You can follow her too. It's just Empress Lourdess. I didn't give Billy that name. I'm sorry, but it's just the word Empress and then her name, Lourdess. We really encourage you to follow Lourdess, if nothing else. And just so you can see some of the things that she's doing and the things she's learning and her milestones that she's meeting, because she's really came a long way. So we would love to share that with you.
Oh, wow. Absolutely beautiful. Alicia, thank you so much. It was such an absolute pleasure. Big hugs to you. Big hug to your family.
Oh, thanks for having me, and hugs to you guys as well. We appreciate you.
Well, everyone, this was this week's book of, or this week's episode of Open Book. We'll have another one next week. So in the meantime, take care.